Participants are joining. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar today. For the participants, feel free to use the chat to share with us where you are joining us from. We have a very international environment today with Wissam and Adri. So we have Adri in New York right now. Wissam, where are you right now?
I'm in Medellin, Colombia, South
In
America.
Medellin, Colombia. Amazing. I'm currently in Paris. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So we have people from Uruguay, Montevideo, Connecticut, Missouri from the US, Pittsburgh, from Canada as well, Brazil. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. From Vancouver, Maryland. Bonjour. Hello. Different languages as well, from Philippines. Welcome. Today to talk about this topic, which is unlocking employee potential and boost performance with manager coaching. I'm just waiting a few minutes. We still have people connecting. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Still waiting a few minutes for everyone to join before starting this webinar. For the new joiners, you can share with us in the chat where you are connecting and joining us from. And we're going to start soon. We have people joining us from all over the place. That's amazing. Chicago, Connecticut, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Hi, everyone. New Jersey, Washington. So let's start the webinar. I'm just watching some people are joining again. What time it is? 2 minutes. So I suggest that we start this webinar. I'm Dunia Zelou. I'm currently based in Paris, and I am a coach at Bravely. Today, together, we're going to talk about how to unlock employee potential and boost performance with manager coaching. Bravely is a training and coaching platform that provides employees with personalized and professional development, fueling higher levels of engagement and performance. Bravely now offers fully personalized leadership coaching called Bravely Advance. It's an unlimited, high-frequency coaching, skill assessments, and robust reporting that develop your critical talent for maximizing the impact in your organization. I feel very excited about moderating this webinar today with our two panelists, Adri and Wissam, that you will get to better know later, especially because I've been coaching various managers, talents, employees for the past year and a half as part of Bravely. And I really observed how much impact leadership coaching and leadership development can bring, not only to managers, but also to their direct reports and all their organization. Have you observed in your organization how leadership and how the leadership of managers in particular can impact the culture, the retention of employees within organization? You can share in the chat because this is also a co-creation together during this hour. And you can also use the Q&A to share your question all along the webinar that we'll address at the end of this webinar. And actually, there is a recent study that's been published by Ken Blanchard Companies that covers more than 200 companies. And it shows that for every year a company delays leadership development, it costs 7% of their total annual sales. So investing in leadership development means investing actually in the whole evolution and development of your organization. So that's what we're gonna talk about today, the importance of investing in the development of people managers within your organization, and how platforms like Bravely, which brings globally and covers globally training and coaching services, can help your organization to scale coaching to managers and talents. And to speak about that topic, I'm happy to welcome our two panelists that I will let introduce themselves. So Adri, would you like to start to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you so much, Tanya. I'm so excited to be here with you and the Bravely team and everyone here today. My name is Audrey Glover. I'm here with Bonusly. I'm the head of people here at Bonusly. I'm based in the New York City area, and my background has essentially spanned working in both startups as head of people operations, as well as larger organizations in an HRBP function. So very much focused on aspects of training, coaching, manager support and development. And one thing that I'm really excited about today is to just engage in the conversation with not only the three of us, but to hear also in the chat what's top of mind for you as we go through today's discussion.
Thanks, Adri, for this introduction. And please feel free to share your insights and your questions in the chat and in the Q&A poll all along the webinar. Wissam, could you please introduce yourself as well?
Definitely. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Wissam Khatib al-Nisr. I'm based in Medellin, Colombia. I'm a PCC, a professional certified coach, and also part of John Maxwell team. So I do a lot of leadership and communication workshops. I also assess human behaviors. I'm so glad to be here because I think this topic is extremely important. And the impact of leadership, proper leadership in the corporate world. So let's see how this goes. And I'm glad to see 82 people joining. So that's awesome.
Yes, it is. Thanks, Wissam. So to start this conversation, I would like to ask both of you the first question, which is regarding the challenges. As part of your experience, in the current landscape, what are some specific challenges that managers are facing in the organization? Maybe Adri, if you can start taking over this question.
Yes, of course. It's a great question. And I think to preface, one thing that's really important to note is taking us back a little bit in time, right? We've all been through COVID, through 2020, right? 2021, we saw the Great Resignation. 2022, 2023 started to kind of see these aspects of the economy retracting, right? 2023, especially starting to see companies going through layoffs, reductions, having to make really tough choices. And I think for managers, especially being at the forefront of that is burnout, right? And that's compounded not only by manager burnout, having to be really there for our people and leaning in as that North Star and that support, but recognizing that according to Slack research, around 42% of managers are themselves experiencing burnout, and 2 in 5 employees today are going through those challenges. And when we think about burnout holistically, that affects performance, that affects bringing our whole selves to work, that affects our energy and that ability to really strive to bring out our very best. And I think as a whole, it also goes into just navigating through change, right? Seeing the aspect of doing more with less, not having all the budgets, not having budgets for engagement or maybe travel, right? And with teams being hybrid remote, it's an added challenge to just making sure we're all staying connected. We're having pulse checks, a lot of us over Zoom. So I'll take a moment to pause there, but I really feel, at least from what I'm seeing in the HR landscape, that's a big challenge that I think many managers are facing today.
Thanks for sharing. Yes, burnout is really important, and the statistics show that the number is increasing. And at the same time, all the potential, as you're mentioning, not bringing the best actually is impacting. That's where leadership development as well can really support this point. Thank you. Wissam, do you have any other observations as well from your experience?
Well, to add to what Adri said, definitely the whole landscape changed. remote work and miscommunication, not meeting each other's expectations, assuming things and being stuck in our head and in these thoughts. What's going on? What's going to happen? I'm going to get fired. I mean, there's a lot of internal struggles that happen with people. So, and there's a lot of emphasis on mental health, on well-being. Companies reached globalization when it comes to hiring people. There are look at us. You're in Paris. I'm in Colombia. Adri is in New York. People are joining us from everywhere. So we reached globalization and to be connected. See, there's a book by John Maxwell says, everyone communicates, few connect. The idea is to connect, not just to communicate. So how to connect? All right. So there's a lot of aspects here, from leadership to emotional intelligence to getting to know your people, collaboration, so on and so forth. So yeah, the whole landscape has changed.
Yes, it has. You mentioned as well the power of connection, the social link. It's one big challenge for organizations to keep the link, to keep the interactions, and to create the environment to adapt to the organization. And you mentioned as well those points. It deals with managers, but also it has, I think, a big impact according to what I saw on their teams and then direct reports. So the whole organizations can be affected by those points. So regarding those two key points that you mentioned regarding specifically the burnout, the remote challenges, the connection, what can you see as solutions that can be put and can be used by HR professionals and organizations to respond actually to those challenges?
Adri? We're waiting for each other. Ladies first.
Yeah, of course. Waiting to see. Don't want to hog the floor. I think it's really important for us as HR professionals to lean into what's happening in the current environment. So it's not just managing through change. I think it's being upfront and really realistic in terms of, as leaders, we're figuring it out together and really leaning into our people to have a voice and seat at the table, right? I think leadership as a whole, in every company, we have to think about our people. We have to be people first at the forefront. And in order to do that, I think it's really important that we lean into our values as our North Star, right? There's going to be tough changes. Many companies, again, have gone through reductions or enforced doing more with less. I think instead of going against the grain and just talking strategically, I think it's really important to level as humans and to talk about how our teams are feeling, what we can do, let them be a part of driving the change with us. But I think that this aspect that Wissam was talking about is really about not just communicating, but building collaboration, building trust, driving solutions together, even the hard ones, right? And I think more than anything, employees want to be heard. And whether that's an employee engagement survey, whether it's all hands, whether it's, team building, I think it's really important that we talk about realistically what's happening and allow employees to be part of that solution with us. And I think, for managers as well, whether you're a large company, small company, leaning into coaching, right, is really important. This is a great time to also upskill, think about training and development, not just think about, oh my gosh, I have more on my plate. How can we effectively solve that? How can we help managers by creating that space as HR business partners and leaders, not only, again, to lean into the conversation with them, but to give them some of the toolkits they may need. And that might be, some warning signs of burnout, whether it's, are you seeing absenteeism in your team? Are you seeing forgetfulness? There's a lot that we can talk about by listening, but also giving some of those tips and tricks and toolkits so that managers can be more aware, can lean into one-on-one conversations, and can really drive solutions with our people, while also keeping these pulse checks on the ground. Because remember, managers, again, are the ones that know their people best. They're on the front lines. They build that trust. They help us cascade within HR leadership and broader executive leadership what the directives are, what's changing, and how to help manage that in partnership alongside us. But I'll take a moment to pause there, and Wissam would love your thoughts here as well.
I loved what you said, Adri. I mean, what to add to that? I think companies are built on the backs of people. And I think leaders, if they treat their employees as they treat their customers. They are. A lot of people misinterpret what leadership is. Leadership is serving. It's not directing, it's serving. You serve downwards, you serve upwards, you serve in every direction. You succeed in the success of others. That's what proper leadership is. So if leaders treat their employees as their clients, they serve them and provide them with the right environment, with the right culture, with the tools and resources to succeed. And then that would be the path to success and productivity.
Yes. No, I
Thanks,
love what you
Wissam.
shared. Oh, so sorry. I didn't mean to
No,
over-
that's fine.
I was just going to say I really appreciate and love what you shared, and it got me thinking about this concept of appreciation as well, you know, in spirit of Employee Appreciation Day being this Friday. And it's not just a one time throughout the year, but it really got me thinking about this notion of not just leaning into our people, having the conversations, looking at upskilling, but taking those small moments of gratitude goes a really long way, especially when everyone's got a little more on their plate. A simple thank you is huge. Some time that you take to coach and help somebody be on the ground as a leader leads by example. So that would be my only other thought as we think about this topic.
Thank you. Thank you. We have various reactions in the chat. Thanks for the participants to share. Feel free to use the chat as well regarding the servant leadership. Thanks, Wissam, for sharing about that as well. It's true that servant leadership is a concept we talk more and more in leadership about how a leader creates also a space for the reports and the employees to grow and to be also the leadership and to develop their own leadership styles. And that's part as well of bringing this space to the employees to be able to express their whole potential, their whole leadership, and as well to impact positively the employees and to widespread this. Actually, I would like to come back on a point that is really important that you mentioned regarding the employees need to be heard, need to be, I could add as well, recognized. Recognition is really important as well. Recognition of the talents, recognition of the values, recognition of the potential that the employee feel as well to keep on growing, to keep on being motivating, and to keep on being committed for the mission of the organization. Can you share with us the role that you see that feedback has in supporting leadership development, and specifically as part of Bonusly as well, how you help organization in this recognition part?
Yes, of course. It's a great question. There's so much that is spinning through my head as I think about that. But I think going on the vein of what I was just sharing around recognition and appreciation is when we think about feedback, often there's this aspect of constructive feedback, you know, and that goes into coaching. But on the flip side, equally important is that positive feedback and that reinforcement, right? To let people know where they're doing a great job, where we could celebrate milestones, and not just as an individual, but as a team, we win together, right? And I think that that's extremely important as we think about a culture of open feedback at all levels. And for us at Bonusly, when we think about feedback, we look to balance the positive recognition and that in our culture every day. But we also look at that constructive feedback in our one-on-one. So carving out the space in terms of development to really focus on where our employees want to grow next, where are the opportunities. Even as a small team, we're about 68 people, including some contractors globally. We don't have every single role, every single level mapped out. But for us, it's a really creative and unique space to lean into feedback and to learn from one another. Our intent when we look at feedback is to build our employees up at all levels and to make sure that where there's shout outs, one thing that we do is we have our program, our platform itself is based on foundations of appreciation, recognition. And we actually have started tying our values as well as our OKRs to certain recognition pieces that allow us to elevate and really see that across the company, especially in a remote and hybrid space. And when I think about leadership, these are incredible insights for us to learn, not just in one-on-one settings, but peer-to-peer, what's actually going on the ground. I think it's tremendously impactful as you think cross-functionally and you have a window into developing your team and not just looking at, you know, There is, of course, like the traditional one-on-ones, performance reviews, engagement surveys, so many factors we could talk about. But ultimately, when I think about feedback, really try to celebrate a culture that is there to build each other up, even if the feedback is constructive and it's from a learning point of view. Ultimately, it benefits all of us to know that we're investing time in each other, we're looking to grow, we're looking to win together. And from a coaching process, I think that having that visibility and that trust is something that it takes time, right? We don't just have blank values as dusty plaques on a wall. We really try to lead by example. And when it comes to our people leadership, we are trying to create a culture and evolving that at Bonusly so that it's not just wait to receive feedback, raise your hand, talk about, your goals, make sure that you're learning and that we as a whole are comfortable as we evolve with this. So I'll pause there for a moment, but those are just some of my thoughts in terms of how I think recognition, feedback as a whole, positive and constructive, is extremely beneficial at an individual level, but also helps level us up as a team and as a company.
Thanks for sharing as well this importance actually of feedback and how to bring this relationship and this space to welcoming the feedback, as it has a great and a big impact. Thank you for that. Maybe next question for Wissam to speak about, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you.
That's right.
I would like to add something
sure.
to the same question, if you don't mind. Yeah, that's all right. Okay. And excuse the psychologist in me. I've coached hundreds of people and around giving feedback, and we've always discussed the positive feedback versus constructive criticism. And when they go and try positive feedback, they come back with, oh my God, it works. So what happens? It's when you come in and you criticize, you create an environment of defense. And the person, the recipient, jumps into their mind and they are defensive. They want to defend themselves. No, I didn't do this. No, I didn't do that. And they are no longer receptive to change. But through positive feedback, what's the end result here? The end result is a change in behavior, for example. So you come in, you say, hey, you've done great here. I love what you've done there. And you're doing amazing here. You just have created an environment of support, a positive environment. This person is now receptive to change. He wants more positive feedback. That's when you plant the seed of change and you harvest, all right? Because they'll jump all over it. And you're addressing the problem by shedding light on the solution and not the problem. It's a strategic approach in communication. Positive feedback works, and criticism will never work because you're creating that environment where they are defensive, they're not receptive to change. Thoughts? Do you agree, Adri and Dunya?
I do. I'm nodding because I 100% agree with intentionality. And I think that for us to be successful in constructive criticism or constructive feedback is not to look at criticism. It's to build up a culture that you have trust and you know that your manager is in your corner and your peers are right there cheering alongside you. So you have a balance of really celebrating wins together, seeing that visibly, whether you're remote, hybrid, on site, but then really leaning into a space of trust where you said people will become defensive, they will shy away. So it's important to know that within our cultures, as we think about feedback, we balance the positive while creating a culture of openness so that we can really talk about the hard things and solve hard problems together.
Exactly. Yes. And failure and mistakes is part of success. Yes. Leaders should believe in that. When they see a failure or a mistake, they should jump all over it as an opportunity
yes.
to help or to mentor or to coach people to grow.
I'm going to give you a virtual high five.
Yes, that's a good point. Let's come back on this because it's really important point. It's where actually managers can start a relationship, a coaching relationship with actually their direct reports. But maybe before that, as you mentioned, Wissam, you've been coaching many employees. Can you please explain what is coaching for managers? How does it work? And why is it so effective?
Oh, coaching is magic. It's magic because what is coaching? Coaching is what I love about coaching. I went from a psychologist to a coach because coach is forward thinking. It's allowing the person to be more self-aware and for them to come up with the right way forward. And we're not moving backwards. We're not going back to the problem. We're looking ahead, because what happened. We can't change the past. We learned. All right, so what did we learn? We learned this, that. Okay, so what's next? This is first what coaching is as a whole. Now, for managers and leaders, especially at this period, this time in this day and age, I've coached a lot of people who went from individual contributors to leaders or to managers, and most of the problems, especially with technical people like engineers and tech people. So one of the problems I felt with most of them is that they feel irrelevant. They feel that I'm not doing things myself. I have a team, so they will. If they do the right thing, they don't need me anymore. Why do I have this job? But leadership is not this. You don't need to. It's succeeding in the success of others. And they miss that. They feel like they're becoming irrelevant because they are so good at what they do, technically, that they want to be hands-on and they want to start micromanaging. And so coaching helps them being able to a little bit let go and trust their people and understand that their responsibility is no longer to do things themselves. Their responsibility is to understand their team, get to know what tools and resources they need to be set up for success, provide those tools and resources, and then coach them through success. And this is very important, because a lot of individual contributors, once they go into a leadership role, they feel this the feeling of being irrelevant. So coaching helps a lot.
Yes, I totally agree, and especially for as well, I can mention because I'm coach as Bradley as well, and when supporting as well young talents, the question of being manager, how to actually self-affirm in the leadership role are some of the topics we help as coaches in supporting the manager developments and the impact. We have as well some participants in the chat sharing some questions actually as well, saying that failure, as you mentioned, is an opportunity to grow, and raising questions to the employees, like what would you have done differently? What action will you take? How can I support you? Thanks for sharing that. And those are some questions actually that can be asked and used to open new coaching relationships with the employees. Adri, would you have something to add regarding that?
Yeah, I completely agree on the coaching equaling development, right? And really leaning into these quote unquote failures as learning opportunities to really help elevate us. I think that again, it creates that space of trust. And that space of also being vulnerable. It's very easy to talk about things we're doing really well, and it can be hard to talk about areas that we have blind spots. But I think the key to that is recognizing that we all have blind spots, and that coaches are there to lean in and to have that space and to help all of us develop and become the best people managers we can. I think that, in terms of just skills for people managers that are really important during this time is giving and receiving feedback, right? As we talked about earlier, our people managers know our people best. They're on the front lines. And we all know that, feedback is something that, again, enables us, allows us to develop, allows us to grow. And it's also important that we lean into knowing our people in terms of how they best receive feedback. And for managers, for leaders, hopefully others have heard this too. It can often feel like a lonely space, right? And it doesn't have to be. It can definitely be a space to work on coaching in group settings, to lean into your peers, to have a one-on-one coach, whatever it might be. You don't have to solve that alone. And we're not meant to figure it all out alone, right, Wissam?
I want to add something to what you said, which 90% of the employees or clients I coach, they come with a topic in mind, right? And then it's clear that it is an internal struggle. They are in their own way. And in positive psychology, they call them the saboteurs. In other school of thought, they call them the true self versus the insecure self. Rick Carson, in his book, Taming Your Gremlin, he believes that there's a gremlin within us a monster, that, that voice. And we are in our own way. So coaching helps you get out of your way, really to look at your life from a mountaintop and to be self-aware. What's reality versus the manifestation of our mind? Is it expectations? Is it assumption? Is it fear of the unknown? Is it, I don't know, regret? What are you really thinking? So coaching helps you get back into reality and live the present moment and understand, all right, so all of this is wrong. I can really go and do this. I can do that. And you get out of your own way.
Yes, it does. Thanks for sharing that. We have some insight. Please feel free, the participants, to share in the chat, and also to ask if you have any questions. We're going to take the questions in just before ending our conversation, so feel free to address them. To continue regarding this topic about the importance of leadership for managers to create this space for empowerment, recognitions, to motivate the teams and to bring value and efficiency and performance to the organization, what are, according to both of you, some essential power skills that managers need to be effective leaders? Who wants to take the question first? Thanks, Wissam.
I think, okay. Well, I mean, I've prepared a couple of slides, actually. Barbara, would you mind pulling those slides up? If you don't mind, thank you. All right, so the power here is to be able to apply a different leadership style at a specific phase. So you need to be able to wear different hats. So there are 6 leadership styles, okay? There's the coercive, do what I tell you now. That's micromanagement. It's definitely a negative style. There's authoritative, come with me, right? You're exciting the team. You want them to go somewhere. So you want to, you're sharing a vision. There is affiliative, people come first. You're building a bond. You're building you're getting to know your team, so on and so forth. And then you've got the democratic, which is, what do you think? What do you need to get there? Okay, pace setter, do as I do now. I've done it before, my way or the highway. Definitely a negative style as well, which is also micromanagement. And then there's the coaching style. What happens if we try this? What happens if we try that? So these are the 6 different styles. Now, Barbara, if you go to the second slide, please. So I want you all to imagine like you are in a conference room with your team and you're sharing a vision. There's different phases where you can have different styles. So the first one is the authoritative style. It's your responsibility as the leader. You want to share a new vision. You want to excite them. You're mobilizing the team. But then how to get the buy-in? The buy-in, a lot of people forget that your team is a very important stakeholder. It's not only serving the client or higher management or the P&L. No, it's your team. What's in it for the team to follow that vision? Are they going to grow? Are they going to get promoted? Are you going to get exposure? So the why behind the what? The why behind the vision, it's what's in it for the team. Get the buy-in. So you got the buy-in. They're with you now, okay? A leader then goes into a democratic style. What do you need to do this? Your job as the leader, your responsibility is to provide them with the tools and resources to set them up for success. So what do you need? That's a democratic style. And then once you know what they need, you provide them with that. Then you go into how you're going to do this. Now, a lot of leaders, they tell them what to do. You're going to do this way. You're going to do this that way. But they are no longer accountable. They don't own their action plan. So you step back as the leader and you ask them. Here you unleash their creativity. They are part of the solution. They are smart people that are adding value to the vision. So then you allow them to tell you how they will achieve those results. You promote empowerment, accountability, ownership, and then you coach them through success. So the ability to wear different hats, to use different leadership styles is extremely important. I remember one time I was working for a company and my manager just got executive coaching and he felt like coaching is the right way to do everything. And then, every time I go to him, he's coaching me. What do you think? What do you think you need? And I got frustrated. I don't want to be coached. Just tell me, answer my question. It's not time for you to be coaching me. It's time for you to mentor me. It's time for you to guide me. So coaching is so effective at the right time. So you need to know what hat to wear and when. Thoughts?
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, I just finished doing a training about leadership as well, and bringing this coaching space actually is really useful for managers to know that to support, especially for as well employees who are struggling to reach their objective in terms of performance. Having this space and the tools of coaching can create really new spaces and increase as well the performance and build a better environment for the co-creation with the employees. So thanks for those insights. Adri, would you like to add something regarding your own experience about this topic?
Yeah, I think I love how you just presented the different styles of leadership and just from a psychology standpoint, how that resonates, right? And as an HR leader, I often lean into this aspect of situational leadership. And again, empowering our managers to know our people best, how they take feedback, how to also train on giving and receiving feedback, right? Because again, feedback can be one of these elements that it feels very personal, right? And I think feedback is also a gift. While it's there to develop, there's also training needed to make sure we as people leaders are empowering. We're always going with the notion of building someone up. We're learning from failure, even if feedback can be hard. So I think really important that we lean into these different styles and we just recognize I think recognizing and visually on a slide like that to know what does that mean and how can I go back to my North Star is really important.
Yes, we have a question here in the chat that is very interesting as well regarding the feedback that I shared with you is, are the employees ready to receive the feedbacks? How would you answer that?
Yeah, I think again, it's something that's going to be unique in every culture. So at Bonusly, we really strive to be a culture of open feedback, meaning that we give feedback openly in team meetings. And that doesn't mean like if it's one-on-one development and should be done in a one-on-one setting, then we look appropriately at those situations. But if it's a group learning and something that we feel something's off track or that's in a really good pace, again, looking at both that positive aspect and then the constructive is important for us because we've really looked to differentiate and train on aspects of work product. This is not a personal critique on, let's say, Adri as an HR professional, but maybe there's things I can be doing better and it's important we learn that in a group setting. So in terms of our employees ready to receive feedback, I think that that's important for us to gauge as managers, right? And if we need a North Star, company values are a great way to lean into that. So for us, we have trust first and always speak the truth. Some of your values can help guide those conversations, but also put you in a place where you never want an employee to feel off guard or that, they might not be ready. So sometimes setting a conversation first, putting something in writing, looking at the notion of building someone up when you go into that conversation is really important. I think setting, when, why, how, all very much matters. But I also think it's important that we train on the purpose of feedback and the intent, which is about growth, empowerment, bettering ourselves, recognizing we all have blind spots, right? Feedback may not, even with the best intent, may not land picture perfect, but I do think what we do have control over is our intent and setting the stage and really inviting employees into that conversation and space. So it is more democratic and it is an opportunity to raise hands if you have questions as well and can continue that coaching and dialogue.
Yes, thank you. Both of you mentioned the importance of the why, the importance of the intention, of the purpose, which are really key elements in leadership developments. And by starting as well, implementing those about why we're doing things, we're generating feedback, we're creating space, we're supporting the development is something really important. We come back to the golden cycle from Simon Sinek as well, that has been very popularized regarding leadership development. And it shows once again how it can create an environment that will help the development of the managers and then the employees in both the conjunction of feedback and leadership and coaching for leadership development. To link both, coaching and feedback and recognition tools, what role do recognition tools play in conjunction with coaching in unlocking employee potential and enhancing productivity? Maybe Adri, we can continue with you.
Yeah, of course.
And then head over to Wissam.
Yes, 100%. So, the way that we, especially at Bonusly, look at Bonusly, we call it Bonusly for Bonusly, is we use our own product, and our product is about recognition. It's about appreciation. It's also about, being able to celebrate our successes as a team while also getting private recognition in some settings too, right? And I think that the way of looking at these three pieces is you have the coaching, you have those conversations, right? You've kind of gone through the training, but what does that look like in practice in the real world? And I think that recognition tools can be a great way to elevate and spotlight your culture, right? Make it living and breathing and real and human. Because if you just have your one-on-one conversations, there's not a bigger way to see what that actually is in practice. So whether you have all hands and you spotlight an employee of the month, or you're going to use a tool like Bonusly where we have appreciation and recognition every day, it can be a small shout out of thank you so much for hopping on this client call with me or helping me prep for a presentation, can also be bigger tied to our OKRs. And I think that the one thing that I've taken away being an HR leader when it comes to training is you can lead a really great training, have a picture perfect deck, but we really talk about stickiness, right? And did the training stick? Did it land? Is it successful 6 months later, a year later? And that's where I think recognition tools can not only build up your culture, but can really enable a culture of high performance, can really engage in those conversations and give you real-time feedback. Is this working? Are the values sticking? Are the coaching elements we've talked about working with our people managers, is it resonating on the ground? Especially, again, we talked a lot about hybrid remote teams. We're in this really interesting, challenging landscape, global too, where once you hop off of a Zoom, you don't have a lot of time, right? And in startups, we move very fast. So I really think that having recognition tools can help enable your culture, give you that window, really make sure you're seeing if things are sticky. But as a whole, they also help with empowerment. They can be very democratic in terms of all employees kind of jumping in, whether it's peer-to-peer recognition, top down, bottom up. I think that as a whole, it elevates the culture. It goes hand in hand because feedback, coaching, all of these terms are very meaningful, but we need to be able to see and know what that actually looks like in practice.
Yes, and do you have some examples actually to share with us in terms of practice about how managers can leverage feedback mechanism to continuously support their direct reports growth and development?
Yeah.
Maybe one or two examples that you saw.
Of course. I think one is one-on-one. So, for those out there that might be familiar with one-on-one structures and templates, it's an ongoing continuation of having conversations, leaning on feedback, looking at coaching all in one. And, we have a one-on-one template we'd be happy to share on the Bonusly side as well. But for me, I think that that's first and foremost just a really important tool for anyone that's not using it, or those that are. I'd love to see in the chat your reactions. That's a great way to build relationships, continue the conversation, and balance not only talking about prioritization, but real feedback on projects, so that it's not a let's wait till the employee performance cycle, right? Your review period. Let's make sure that we're having continuous checkpoints. And on the flip side, it's also something in practice that employees can add to, right? It's not just top down, can be bottom up, is a shared responsibility and ownership, where coaching can then be a natural continuation and might even come out of a performance review. And I think the other bit are recognition programs as a whole. Really important. We talked about employees doing more with less, really challenging landscape, especially in the HR and manager space. These are great ways to just take a moment in time to stop and really appreciate the great work we're doing. How are we achieving our goals? How are we winning together as a team? Spotlighting that at all hands, maybe having a peer-to-peer recognition award. These are great ways to organically think about feedback that you might be seeing on Slack channels and emails through projects, but really synthesizing that and giving a space in your culture to make that possible and celebrate it at the same time.
Thanks, Adri, for sharing that. Just for some question we got in the chat, that at the end of the webinar, we will launch a poll if you would like to have a demo from Bradley or Berners-Lee. So for some people who wanted to get more information, we'll get it at the end. We'll get it at the end of the webinar. Wissam, regarding the role of recognition tools in conjunction with coaching, would you like to add something to what Adri shared before?
Yes, well, I definitely agree with everything Adri said. I'm gonna look at it from a psychological perspective. Okay, I don't think anyone likes to be in a gray area. That's when that's when this is the book Taming Your Gremlin by Rick Carson. If anyone wants to take a snapshot, that's when the gremlin is at his best. Okay, he's you're gonna get fired up. Like the voice is so loud. Why would you do that as a leader? Why would you create a gray area for your team when you can create clarity? When they can be more connected to the vision, to they are it's clear to them what's next. Clarity. Most of the clients I work with, they come and they're struggling with the gray area. So create clarity. Hence, you create an environment and a culture where people know what's going on and they are productive, they're working hard, and they're happy.
Okay.
Anyone likes to be in a gray area?
No, we always say that clear is kind, and I really love how you tied that together. It's very true. Having clear goals and knowing what we're measuring goes very much into the coaching conversation too. The when, the how, the why, what is the priority, what is the objective, how does that fit into the bigger picture? And especially in environments where there's changing priorities, it's really huge to have that shared accountability and just know whether it's OKRs that are your North Star or focus from a business directive on like new product line. I think really important, and again, this can go into one-on-ones very nicely too, is to talk about goals, prioritization, where you need help, where you're struggling, right? Creating that space in your culture that also allows for organic feedback, coaching and development.
100%. I would like to add something also. There are through clear communication, okay, you would eliminate the 4 tricks that our mind plays on us. The first trick is expectations. Okay, the expectation is between you and yourself. People don't have access to expectations. Even Zoom agrees. All right. The second one is assumptions. Assuming. Why assume? The 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements. Never make assumptions. Have the courage to ask the right question. Once you know, you don't assume anymore. And then we've got regret and fear. Basing your decisions on something in the past, you either learn or you don't. Regret is an empty emotion. And then fear of the unknown. It's the manifestation. When there's clarity, there's no fear.
And that's where leadership as well helps navigating with uncertainty, as you mentioned, Andrea, at the beginning. Especially in COVID times, we saw, and in the world in which we're going through with all the unknown, that's where leadership development can be very helpful for managers and all organizations. Maybe before going through the questions, and please for the participants, feel free to share the question in the Q&A. We're going to take them over in 2 minutes. Another term that is really important in coaching is the accountability, and how it helps managers keep this accountability and use the learning along with the direct reports. This is, I think, a key value in coaching, especially leadership skills. Maybe, Wissam, do you have some examples that you observed when coaching that really bring this value in terms of accountability and development to direct reports from coaching?
Accountability between the manager and their direct reports, or between the coach and the manager, to understand the question? Between
the accountability of the manager, how the coaching space helps.
Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah, it helps a lot. First of all, in a coaching session, we always end up with an action plan. All right. So what's next? We co-create together, and then we discuss what tools and resources they need, what support they need. And the last question is, how will you hold yourself accountable? Okay, it's from our coaching learnings. How will you hold yourself accountable? What is it useful to create an accountability measure? And we come up with a way to create that together. And then the client goes, does what, or the employee goes, does what he needs to do, comes back, most of the time excited because he's doing or she's doing things differently. We're doing things in a way that we're serving. We know what the end result is. We know what tools and resources we need to apply. We know who's going to support us, and we go and ask for support. And we know how to hold ourselves accountable. And then we come back and we keep on going. And that's why a lot of people who work, a lot of employees who are working with coaches and Bravely, they are really enjoying it. The feedback is incredible because they're doing things differently.
It is. And the energy changes and the impact as well has you changes. The report I mentioned at the beginning shows as well that investing in leadership development can help actually that to increase and to decrease salary turnover until 32% for organizations, because also the interactions, and we know that retention is one of the challenges as well for organizations today, and leadership development has a huge impact on that. I suggest that we take a few questions if you're okay with that from the participants. Yes. Thank you. Thanks to all the participants for sharing, and please, if you have some questions, feel free to address them in the Q&A or in the chat. So maybe let's start with a question we have from Michelle. So the question is, do you have advice for a manager that is younger than all of the employees except one, and the industry is tourism and hospitality? Who would like to take over the question?
May I, Adri?
Sure.
Because I've been there before. I was recruited to be the general manager of a traffic engineering company, and I am a psychologist. So I went in the first day, and all the executive team, they didn't want me there. They're all older than me. They're engineers. I'm a psychologist, and the managing director. The trick was that I came in with the idea to serve. I came in getting to know them and making them know how valuable they are. It's not my job to do the job. It's not my job to do traffic engineering. My job is to support them so that they can do traffic engineering. My job is to manage up, to go to the board of directors and ask for money or promotions or whatever, or do business development. My job is to serve them. Once they felt that I care and I want the best for them, we became good friends. They started coming to me and asking me and wanting my help in their development. But they said, yes, the first day, nobody wanted me. Everybody was like, what the hell is this guy doing here? He's a psychologist, we're traffic engineering, we're engineers. But yes, caring, developing them, and providing them with the tools and resources. That was the trick. I don't know, Adri?
No, I appreciate you sharing your real experience. And I couldn't agree more. A lot of what I see in my role as head of people is this elevation from peer to manager too. And, whether the manager is younger or just, had been on that peer level and now become a team lead, I think it's really important, again, to just openly address what are some of those challenges and have these lean in circles. And also, there's this sense of imposter syndrome sometimes too. So I think, first of all, just bringing that all out in the open is really important to build that person up, let them know you're not alone. These are things that we've seen before. We can coach through it, but also, having that respect and that space within the team to really enable and empower that person to bring out their best, because they were promoted for a reason. They're able to do it. We all have stepping stones, but that's really important to remember, that within the team, our success is also winning as a team, right? And respecting and enabling each other's growth.
Thanks, Adri.
Yeah.
Two more questions, maybe one for each of you. Adri, if we can continue with you. One question we have is, how do you get leadership buy-in to invest in coaching when managers want it, but leadership doesn't see it as worth the spend?
Yeah, I think that as an HR professional that sits within an executive leadership team, has been a part of board meetings in the past, it's really important that we're able to speak to ROI and looking at the storytelling, right? I think that it's important not only through engagement surveys and like what is sentiment, but how can this impact bottom line? How can this move the needle? Will it help with retention? Will it help with, better employee engagement? What are kind of the things that we can connect in our HR space that allows us to speak the language of our leadership team? Because again, we're one team winning together. We have different point of views. We have different perspectives. That's where we lean into our strengths. But I think that the more HR leaders can talk to ROI and understand what's critical in the business, what are the business needs we're solving, what are our OKRs, and how can that coaching and development move the needle, the more success that we'll have.
Thanks.
May I
Thanks
add?
for yeah, sure. Please go. Please go. Please go on. That's fine. Please go on.
To all of you watching, just go with this story. The story is a CFO came to the CEO and told him, what if we invest in all these people and they leave? And the CEO told him, what if we don't invest and they stay? Go with the story. Seriously.
It's a great one. It's true. It's true. And I mean, for HR leaders out there, like I report into a CFO and, I hate to say, but, as people ops, we're often seen as the warm and fuzzy team. And, we're very connected to human beings and we're very connected to people as a whole. And I think that us telling the story while also understanding these aspects of, again, what if they stay? What if they go? We got to think about the bigger picture of the value we can drive as HR leaders. That story just sums it up perfectly.
Yes, that's really important. Thank you. Let's take over the last questions. The last question is, do you have any tips for flat organizations with no title leaders or managers? In terms maybe of recognitions or leadership development, either both.
A flat organization. Adri, you want to take this one? So I can think about the answer.
Of course. Can you repeat the question one more time, Danya? I'm sorry.
Yes. If do you have any tips for a flat organization with no titled leaders or managers?
Oh, it's a good question. I really relate to this being a part of the startup journey for most of my career, right? Where we haven't had a ton of hierarchy, or if we did, it's very egalitarian. I think leaning into that, like there's going to be always things that you're like, gosh, I want to improve, or I'd like to have this, but there's also strengths in being a flat organization and a lot more room for democratic kind of conversation elevation. I do think it's important that while you might not have the titles, you might not have the hierarchy, that you do have a culture of learning, I think is really important to lean into different skill sets. And while titles might not be a thing, there's always going to be that aspect of, I still want to keep my employees engaged. I still want to keep them growing, coaching. And for us at Bonusly, we use our product, which is very much about like that peer-to-peer recognition and, recognition at all levels. So whether you have the hierarchy or not, we really try to set that in the culture to make that special and to make that, very visible and very much anybody is included. Everybody can kind of raise their hand. So if you're looking at it from recognition standpoint, I think that's really powerful. But again, I think with flatter organizations, it really is about leaning into learning, right? And those strengths.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, Wissam, quickly, maybe because we'll have to end the webinar to close it.
Okay. The only thing I would add is clarity on the job description, clarity and mutual agreements on what's mine, what's yours, and how can we complete each other. Makes sense.
Amazing. Thank you for closing this webinar today. So in terms of key takeaways, the importance of investing in leadership development for managers, how it can impact positively organizations, and the importance as well of recognition and feedback, and the impact positively your organization, and it boosts the performance while unlocking the employee potentials. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to our panelists today. Thanks for all the participants for attending our webinar today. You will get here a poll about if you would like a demo of Bravely or Bonusly. So please answer the poll. Yes, Barbara. Yes, here we go. So please, if you can take a minute to answer the poll, then we'll share with you the HRM code. Obo. So here is the HRM code 24HP6JQ and the HRCI 660860. So thanks everyone for joining this webinar today. Thanks to our panelists, and have a great day, all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye.